The champagne was sparkling. The candles were glowing like stars. The whole room smelled like flowers and fresh cake. People were smiling, laughing, dressed in their finest clothes. It was my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, and they looked so happy. My name is Elaine Summers. I'm 43 years old, and I thought I was here to celebrate love. But I had no idea I was standing in the middle of a trap. A very quiet, polite, and beautiful trap. I was wearing a soft blue dress that my daughter picked for me. She always said it made me look peaceful. My hair was pulled back in a simple bun. I wasn't trying to shine, just support. Because that's what I always did. Support. My parents, Joan and Martin Summers, were standing at the center of the hall, holding hands, kissing each other's cheeks. People clapped, took photos, said, "True love still exists." But I stood in the corner. I was invisible, like always. My younger brother, Max, was giving a speech on stage. He looked handsome, confident, like the perfect son. He came back from Europe just a few months ago after disappearing for 8 years. And now here he was on the mic, making jokes, saying things like, "I couldn't miss the celebration of the 2 most generous people I know." Everyone laughed. Even my parents laughed. But something in their laughter felt fake. I looked at my daughter, Emma, sitting beside me. She's 17, sharp, strong, too smart for her age. She wasn't smiling. She leaned closer, her face pale and serious. "Mom, we need to go. Now." I blinked. "What?" She looked around and grabbed my hand. "We need to leave. Immediately." My heart started beating faster. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Did something happen?" She shook her head. "I'll tell you in the car." Her voice was tight, not scared, just angry. And I knew when Emma spoke like that, she meant it. So without making a scene, I stood up. People turned to look. Some whispered. Even Max paused mid-speech and said, "Leaving so soon, sis?" I forced a smile. I didn't answer. My parents looked confused, or maybe they pretended to. Hard to tell. I held Emma's hand and we walked out. Outside, the wind was cold. The stars were hiding. My heels clicked on the pavement as we rushed to the car. I started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. Neither of us said a word. For 10 minutes, it was just the sound of the road and my thoughts spinning. Did someone insult her? Was she feeling sick? Did I miss something? I looked at her. She was staring out the window, fists clenched, lips tight. "Emma," I finally said, "please, talk to me. What's going on?" She slowly turned her head. Her voice was low, but clear. "Mom, you really didn't catch what they were doing?" I frowned. "Catch what? I don't understand." She pulled out her phone, opened a folder, turned the screen toward me. "Then maybe this will help."
At the red light, I glanced. My stomach dropped. There were videos, screenshots, texts. From my parents' phones, from their private family group chats. Things I wasn't part of. I parked on the side of the road. My hands were shaking. The first video showed my dad talking to my brother. "She still thinks she's in the will," my father said, laughing. "She's been paying all the bills like a good little daughter," my brother replied. "Well, she is the maid of honor, minus the honor." They laughed. I felt sick. Another video showed my mom showing someone a new house. "We'll move in after the party," she said. "Elaine won't suspect anything. Max is getting the business too. It's all finally his now. My mouth went dry. I felt like someone had taken all the air out of the car. Emma kept swiping through photos, screenshots of messages. She's too soft. Let her keep paying. She owes us. After the party, we tell her she's out. Max will take care of things from now. Tears filled my eyes. They used me, I whispered. All these years. I remembered every moment, every hard-earned dollar I sent them, the house I paid off, the loans I covered, the nights I cooked when Mom was sick, the months I took care of Dad when he had surgery. Max was gone, and I was always there. And now they were laughing at me. I thought we were celebrating love, I whispered. Emma looked me in the eyes. No, Mom, she said. They were celebrating your silence. I wiped my eyes, and then I remembered something. One small detail they all forgot. A power. A signature. A secret. Emma, I said slowly, I still have the power of attorney. Her eyes lit up. That meant I still had control of the house, the business, the accounts, the assets, everything. My parents thought they had won, but they forgot who really held the key. I started the car again. No more crying, no more shaking, because I was done being their shadow and I was ready to become their storm.
I held the steering wheel tighter as we drove. My knuckles turned white. My heart felt heavy, like it was carrying a rock. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. How could I? How do you speak when your own parents stabbed you in the back with smiles and party lights? My daughter Emma sat beside me, her eyes watching me carefully. She didn't cry. She was stronger than I had ever been. We got home, and I went straight to the kitchen. I made tea with shaking hands. I didn't even drink it. I just needed something warm to hold. Emma sat at the table. I didn't want you to find out like this, Mom, she said softly. I looked at her. I really didn't see it coming. She reached out and touched my hand. You didn't want to see it, she whispered. You love them too much. She was right. I always told myself they were just tough, strict, old-fashioned. But this wasn't just strict parenting. This was cold, cruel, planned. I sat down. Show me everything, I said. And she did. One by one, she opened the screenshots she had secretly taken. They were from Max's phone. He left it on the kitchen counter when he visited us weeks ago. Emma was trying to play a game on it, but then she saw a text pop up from Grandma. It said, "Can't wait to finally tell her the truth." She got curious. She opened the phone and found everything. Every cruel message, every plan, every time they laughed at me behind my back. Max was planning to move into their house the next day, Emma said. They're giving him everything, the business, the land, even your father's shares. I blinked. But I've been managing all that for years. Emma nodded. I know, Mom, but they said you were temporary, that you were just the helper until Max came back. Helper. That word hit harder than a slap. A helper. After everything? I remember when my mom fell in the bathroom. It was 2 a.m. I rushed to her house in my nightgown. Carried her myself. Or when Dad couldn't pay taxes on the shop, I sold my jewelry to help him. Max? He was in Italy, posting pictures with women and wine. He didn't even call them on Christmas.
I was the one who stayed. But they were giving him everything. I felt tears sliding down my cheeks. Not loud tears, not angry ones, just quiet heartbreak. I didn't know them, I said. Emma stood up and hugged me. No, Mom. They loved what you gave them, not who you are. We sat in silence for a while. Then she said something that changed everything. You still have the power of attorney, right? I looked at her slowly. Yes, I whispered. Power of attorney. 3 words, 1 signature. A legal document they begged me to sign years ago when Dad had his first heart scare.
They trusted me with everything back then. I handled their money, their accounts, their business taxes, and I never took advantage of it because I respected them, because I loved them. Now, they didn't even remember that I still held it. Emma leaned in close. You can stop them, Mom, before it's too late. I didn't answer yet. My brain was working fast. Every detail, every possibility. Could I do it? Should I? Would it be cruel? But then I remembered Max calling me a maid. My mother laughing when she said she still thinks she's in the will. My father chuckling as he signed papers behind my back. They were ready to throw me away, like a used towel. I looked up at Emma. I'm going to stop them, I said. She nodded, and for the first time all night, I smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a woman wears after being pushed for too long. The next morning, I opened my old files. I found the original documents: power of attorney, financial control, medical decisions, business ownership papers, all with my name on them. Still valid, still active. They never revoked anything because they thought I'd always obey, always play the nice daughter, the silent daughter. They were wrong. I called my lawyer, Mr. Bennett. He's an old friend, helped me with my divorce years ago. When I told him everything, he said, Elaine, if you want to go forward, you're fully within your rights. I asked him to help me prepare. He said, are you sure you want to do this? It might get messy. I laughed. I've cleaned up their messes for 40 years. Now, they can clean up their own. That afternoon, I visited their house. I needed to see their faces. Max was there already, moving boxes into the garage. My dad was on the porch drinking lemonade. My mom was trimming roses. Everything looked perfect. I smiled as I walked in. They welcomed me like nothing happened. Elaine, my mother said, hugging me, you left the party so early. Yes, I said calmly. Emma wasn't feeling well. Dad patted my shoulder. No worries. You looked beautiful, by the way. Max smirked from the corner. I nodded. Inside, I noticed something different. Photos of me were gone from the living room wall. Max's pictures were everywhere now. Baby photos, graduation, even a framed picture of him in front of the family shop. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just quiet fire. They were so busy celebrating his return, they didn't notice the storm walking through their door. I stayed for tea, smiled, listened to their fake talk, but inside, I was already preparing the fire. They had forgotten one thing. I was still in charge, and I was about to remind them.
For the next few days, I said nothing. I acted like everything was normal. I smiled at my parents' messages. I sent them photos of Emma. I even thanked them again for the lovely party. But deep inside, I was counting down to the day they'd taste what betrayal feels like. I didn't want to rush. I wanted every step to be perfect. Because when someone sets your world on fire, you don't run. You walk through the flames, holding the match. I met with Mr. Bennett again, my lawyer. He had already started the process. We were freezing all the accounts tied to the business and the house. We were transferring ownership of the property back to me. We were locking them out of everything they thought they owned. I had all the documents, all the legal rights, and best of all, they didn't even know. Mr. Bennett looked at me across the desk. "You're calm," he said. "I've been quiet for too long," I answered. He nodded. "Once this is done, there's no going back." I smiled. Exactly. That weekend, I went back to my parents' house. I brought flowers, rang the bell, wore a dress they liked, even baked my dad's favorite lemon pie. My mom opened the door. "Elaine," she said, surprised. She wasn't used to me showing up unannounced. "Hi, Mom," I said, holding the pie. "Oh, how lovely," she said, taking it. Come in, come in." Inside, Max was sitting on the couch, feet up, remote in hand, wearing Dad's old sweater, like he owned the place. I smiled at him. He didn't even look up, just grunted, "Subsis." I looked around again. More of my photos were gone. Even a painting I made in college missing from the hallway. They were erasing me from their home, piece by piece. But I was still smiling, because they were erasing a version of me that no longer existed. They thought I was still the soft daughter, still begging for love, still desperate to belong. But they didn't know. I'd already packed my kindness away. I sat at the dining table while Mom made tea. Dad joined us, talking about retirement plans. Max bragged about a new business opportunity someone was offering him. None of them noticed that I didn't say much. They didn't even ask how Emma was. They didn't ask about my job. They didn't ask if I was okay. They only talked about themselves, just like always. But it was fine. I was almost done playing my part. Before I left, I hugged my mother. "You're glowing," I told her. She smiled like a queen. She thought she had won. She thought this was her victory lap. And I let her think that. For one more night. The next day, I returned to my lawyer's office. We filed the final documents. By law, I now controlled the family business, the house my parents lived in, my father's pension account, my mother's retirement savings, the land their second shop was on, all of it. They had trusted me with those things when Max was gone. They never updated the paperwork because they never believed I'd fight back. Mr. Bennett gave me a thick brown envelope. Inside was everything: proof, letters, bank statements, ownership transfers. It was all ready. I just had to deliver it. And so I planned one final visit. That morning, I wore black. Not because I was sad, but because something was dying. Not a person, a lie. The lie they built, the fake love they fed me for years, it was finally over. Emma came with me. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, but she looked like armor. "Are you ready?" she asked as we drove. I nodded. More than ever. We parked in front of the house. I saw Max's car in the driveway. He had already made himself comfortable. I took the brown envelope from the seat beside me, held it like it was gold, because to me, it was. It was justice. My mother opened the door again. "Elaine," she said, smiling. "What a nice surprise." I smiled too. "It's not a surprise. I have something to give you." She frowned a little, but let me in. We all sat in the living room. Dad was reading the newspaper. Max was on his phone. No one stood up to greet me. No one asked why Emma was there. They were too relaxed, too sure of themselves. Perfect.
I placed the envelope on the coffee table. "What's that?" Dad asked. "Something important," I said. Max finally looked up. "Is it money?" he laughed. "Hope it's a check for me." "No," I said calmly. "It's actually the opposite." They stared at me. "Go ahead," I said. "Open it." My mother slowly opened the envelope, pulled out the documents. At first, her face looked confused, then pale. She kept reading. Dad leaned over. "What is this?" Max snatched a page from her hand. He read aloud. "Effective immediately, Elaine Summers holds legal authority over the following accounts and properties." He stopped. His jaw dropped. "Wait, what?" I leaned back in the chair, folded my hands, and looked at each of them. "You threw a party to celebrate cutting me out, but you forgot. I never gave up my seat at the table." My father stood up angry. "You can't do this." I looked him in the eye. I already did. My mother's hands were shaking. "You're our daughter." "Exactly," I said. "And all I ever did was love you, support you, help you. But you chose to erase me. So now I'm just finishing what you started." Max was pacing the room. "This is crazy. This is illegal." "No," I said. "This is justice." They all started yelling, asking me to stop, begging, blaming each other. I stood up calmly. Emma stood with me. And I said just one thing: "Happy anniversary." Then we walked out. Outside, the sun was shining. The air was warm. I felt lighter, stronger, free. They had the balloons, the cake, the decorations, but I had the truth. And the truth is always louder.
As I walked away from my parents' house that day, I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel scared. I felt clean. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying anyone's weight. I wasn't begging to be loved. I wasn't waiting for them to see me. They saw me now. Oh, they saw me very clearly. Emma and I got into the car. She looked at me and smiled. "Are you okay, Mom?" I nodded. "I'm better than okay." She reached out and held my hand. "You did the right thing," she said. "I know," I replied. For once, I chose me. In the days that followed, the calls started coming. At first, they were angry. My father left messages yelling about betrayal. My mother texted in all caps blaming Emma. Max even tried to come to my house, but I didn't open the door. They weren't used to hearing no from me. They were used to control, used to guilt, used to me saying, "It's okay, I'll fix it." But now, they had to sit in the mess they made. And when the account stayed frozen, when the bank refused their cards, when Max got kicked out of the house for not being on the deed, reality hit them like thunder. They weren't in charge anymore. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from their lawyer. They were requesting a conversation. I smiled and threw it in the bin. They had plenty of time to talk when they were plotting behind my back. But now, silence was the only answer they deserved. I used the control I had to sell the family business, transfer the house into my name fully, donate part of the shop proceeds to a charity for single mothers. That part felt special because I had raised Emma mostly alone, and no one ever helped me, so I helped others instead. I bought a cozy new home in the countryside. It had a big garden, a swing for Emma, and a small art studio because I finally started painting again. It was quiet, peaceful, ours. No fake smiles, no guilt, no pretending, just truth. One afternoon, I sat in the backyard with a cup of tea. Emma came out with her phone. "Guess what?" she said, grinning. "What?" Grandpa posted a long message on Facebook.
Oh? Yeah. He said you poisoned me, that you were brainwashed. I laughed. It wasn't a bitter laugh. It was the kind of laugh that said, "You still don't get it." I took a sip of tea. They can say whatever they want, because at the end of the day, they lost the only person who ever truly loved them. Emma sat beside me. Do you ever miss them? I thought about it. I miss the idea of them, the version I hoped they could be, the warm parents I imagined when I was little. But the real them, the ones who used me, lied to me, laughed behind my back? No, I didn't miss them. I reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind Emma's ear. I have all the family I need, right here. She smiled and leaned on my shoulder. A few months later, I got a card in the mail. It had no return address, just my name, in messy handwriting. Inside was a note. You really hurt us. We're your parents. We thought family was forever. Under it, a photo of the three of us when I was 10 years old, at a park. Before the lies, before the games. I stared at it for a long time. Then I placed it in a box, closed the lid, and tucked it deep in my closet. Because that girl in the photo, she no longer needed to beg for love. She had grown up, and now she owned her story. Months turned into a year. I got a job teaching art at a local school. Emma got accepted into her dream college. We laughed more. We slept peacefully. We lived without pretending. Every now and then, I'd hear whispers from old family friends. They're living in a small rental now. Max lost the money his friend gave him. Your parents are asking about you. But I didn't answer. I had given them decades of loyalty. They gave me one party of betrayal, and I don't owe them another moment. One evening, as the sun was setting, Emma and I sat on the porch. She looked out at the sky and said, "Do you think they ever regret what they did?" I looked at her. "I think they regret that I didn't stay small," I said. "I think they regret that I stopped being easy to use." She nodded. "They didn't expect the quiet one to fight back." I smiled. Exactly. As the stars came out, I closed my eyes. I thought about that party, the clinking glasses, the fake toasts, the laughter that felt like knives, and I remembered how they thought they had won. They thought they had buried me that night. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't being buried. I was being replanted. And now I was blooming. They threw a party to erase me, but I was the one who wrote the final toast.